solving equations, which I know you've known how to do for a while, I just want to give you a little bit of history. We've known, as a human race, we've known how to solve for unknown values for a while too. We have evidence of ancient Babylonians solving for unknown values, as well as ancient Egyptians. The word algebra, yeah, that's me, and there's my boy Isaac. The word algebra comes from actually a Persian word, which I can't pronounce, but it's very similar to our word algebra. And the reason we use that word is because it was part of the name of the first time we ever had a book that actually formalized all the symbology of here's how we solve for an unknown. Here's this X or this unknown variable that we're looking for. So there's a bit of history. You've had a bit of history as well since 6th grade. So let's go ahead and start solving some equations. Welcome to lesson 1-5. We are going to look into some more complex equations, still probably things you saw back in middle school, but a little bit more in depth than the 1 and 2 steps that you did yesterday, or in the previous lesson, I should say. All right, so let's go ahead and get to it. You should be looking at video 1. So it should look like this with our silly little cartoon over here. And we're going to be working on multi-step equations. By multi-step, we just mean it takes more than just the 2 steps. It takes a little bit more work to get to your answer. We've given you a little step-by-step guide to what you should do to work through these. The first thing you're going to do when solving multi-step equations is distribute. If you see parentheses, that means you need to do some distribution, and you should do that first before anything else. Then the next thing you're going to do is go ahead and combine like terms. Basically, those first 2 steps serve to simplify each side of your equations. Think about one side of your equation as just an expression, then I'm going to simplify this, and then I'm going to look at the other side of the equation, simplify it, if there's simplification to be done, and then I'm going to start solving. And that's what those first 2 terms do, or first 2 steps do. Then you get to the 3rd step, you're going to get variables on the same side of the equation. All the problems we're going to do in this video already have that step done, but in future videos we'll cover that step in more detail. And then the last step is isolate the variable using inverse operations. Basically, once you've done these first 3 steps, you're left with a 1 or 2 step equation that you already know how to solve. So that's what we mean by that. That last step is just, finish the problem, solve it. So let's look at this very first one. As you're working through these, you're going to kind of be slowly chipping away and moving things away from your variable. Start with things that are farthest away from the variable and move out from there. So there's no distribution to be done here, but I've got sort of this big group that's all together, and the 7's kind of hanging out to the side. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that 7 first by subtracting it from both sides of my equation, or of my equal sign, which serves as sort of a wall between the 2 expressions. And that's going to leave me with just y plus 1 over 2. And over here, 19 minus 7 is equal to 12. All right, now I'm going to move to my next step just to get rid of this 2. I can't get that 1 away from the y until I get it out from this trap that is that fraction. So I'm going to go ahead then and multiply by 2, because the inverse of a division by 2 is to multiply by 2. Those 2 end up canceling because you have 2 over 2, which is 1, and that leaves me with just y plus 1. And on this side, 12 times 2 is 24. So everything's still nice and balanced. And now I've just got a 1-step equation. I've just got one more thing I need to do, which is to subtract that 1, and that's going to leave me with y equals 23. Now remember, you can check your answers at this point if you'd like. You can go into this y and replace it with 23 and just make sure that when you work through this you get 19. 23 plus 1 is 24. I'm just following my order of operations. So I did my grouping symbol. There are no exponents. I'm going to do multiplication and division. So this is division. I get 12 plus 7. And 12 plus 7 is 19. So that means I know I got it right. You should all get hundreds on this because you can check your answer. All right, so I've got y equals 23. And let's go over here. Now, I'm going through these steps. First thing I got to do is distribute. I've definitely got some distribution that needs to be done here. So I'm going to start by saying this is a little -1 there. So I'm going to distribute this -1, and I get -1 times 1 is -1. -1 times 7 is -7, so that's -7k. And then I'm going to distribute this 6, except it's not just a 6. It's a sneaky little -6. So make sure that when you distribute that, you're taking that negative with it. So -6 times -7 is +42. -6 times -k, remember there's a 1 there, so I'm saying -6 times -1 is +6, and I've still got the k. And then that equals 36. So now I'm ready to start going into my next step, which is to combine like terms. We've done all the distribution. When you're talking about combining like terms here, it's only on one side of the equation. So I'm going to combine all the like terms over here and ignore this 36 for now. Take it one side at a time, because remember, there's still that sort of Great Wall of China here that's keeping these two sides separate until we start using inverse operations. So when I combine like terms, I've got a -1, I've got a +42. -1 plus 42, those are my constants, and that gives me 41. I've also got a -7k and a +6k. Well, -7 plus 6, make sure you pull that sign, -7 plus 6 is -1k. If you want to drop the 1 and just write -k, that's fine. The other side of my equation still has a 36. And now this just looks like a two-step equation. So I don't have to worry about getting variables on one side because I've only got one variable at this point. I can start solving. So I'm going to start by subtracting that 41. It is a +41, so to get rid of it, I'm going to subtract. 41 minus 41 is 0, so that's now gone, and I'm just left with this -1k. 36 minus 41 is going to be -5? Yes, -5. And now I can divide by this -1 to get rid of it. And -5 divided by -1 is +5. I'm running out of room here. So I get k equals +5. If you want, you can go back in and plug that into your original problem and make sure it's the right answer, and then you're all done. So go ahead and try a couple. These don't look as complicated as the ones I did, so you should be good, and I'll see you back on the other side.